So this is part one of my Queen single collection, 7-inch. Forgive the weird angle, I don't have a tripod and I'm at home. So yeah, the first one is the Japanese version of Keep Yourself Alive. And then obviously you got the UK version of Keep Yourself Alive. I will probably buy a replacement sleeve for this because it's a bit tatty. And then we've got the UK version of Seven Seas of Rye. I don't actually have any picture sleeve versions of Seven Seas of Rye, so that's one of the goals for me. The UK version of Killer Queen, and this is where some of the cooler picture sleeves start. So this, I think, is the Spanish version of Killer Queen. I'm not going to take it out, but that's what the label looks like. And then we've got the Belgian version of Killer Queen. It's actually a sleeve that is just the same on both sides, so you flip it. And then I've got the French version of Killer Queen. I think this is one of my favourites. I really wanted this for a long time. And that's what the label looks like. And then I've got the Dutch version of Killer Queen. I like this, it's pretty cool on the back. It's like an advert for the 3 Queen albums that have been released at the time. Next is the Japanese version of Killer Queen. Again, I really like this one. It takes the picture from the Sheer Heart Attack album. This is one of my favourites. The red Warner Brothers and Atlantic sleeve. And then I think this is the last one for Killer Queen. This is a German copy. Again, pretty cool. I find it really interesting to see like all of the different designs. And that's what the label looks like. So then moving on to Now I'm Here. It's the UK version, just in the generic EMI sleeve. And then this version, I believe, is from Hungary. So that's quite interesting. It's on the Pepita label. I think one of the only countries to release, Queen singles in the Soviet Union. This is the Japanese version of Now I'm Here, which actually my girlfriend picked up for me in Japan. So I'm, really grateful for that, with the caterpillar sleeve. This is the German version, I believe, of Now I'm Here. So I only have three picture versions of Now I'm Here. This one's in pretty bad nick, so it'd be great to pick up another copy of that at some point. So now on to Bohemian Rhapsody. This is the UK sleeve. I think this can go upwards of £20. It's a pretty cool sleeve. Mine has a little bit of like ring wear. That's what it looks like at the back. I have quite a few copies of Bohemian Rhapsody, so I've got this one, which is the French version. It's unfortunately got a punch hole here, but this one could be quite hard to come across. It's a very weird sleeve, with that kind of baby with hair, like carrying a handbag. It is very strange. But yeah, that's the first one. And then I've got a German copy. I like that. It says top hit in England. Okay. I'll try and get that back on. And again, it's got a couple of adverts for different albums on the back, including Sheer Heart Attack. This is the Belgian version of Bohemian Rhapsody. A little bit of like stain kind of marking there. And that's what it looks like on the back. Then I've got the Japanese version. I think out of all of the different nationalities, I think Japanese is probably the highest number of Queen singles that I have. Apart from the UK, of course. A Dutch version of Bohemian Rhapsody, and which also comes with, well, it doesn't come with, but you also have the alternate version, so there are 2 different copies of colouring on those. The interesting thing with that is instead of I'm in love with my car, it says with my car I'm in love, so it's kind of like a direct translation. And then we've got the French version of Bohemian Rhapsody. I really quite like this sleeve. I think it's pretty cool. That's what it looks like on the back. Moving on to You're My Best Friend. I think I have 2 versions of this. So this is the German version. Again, this is one of my favourites. This is in top 5, I think, of cover art. That's what it looks like on the back, just advertising A Night at the Opera. I actually can't remember where this is from. I think this is from the Netherlands, but I'll write it in the description. And that's what it looks like on the back. And then I've got this copy, this Spanish copy, pretty hard to come by. Unfortunately, Roger's face, I don't know if the previous owner of this didn't like Roger or whether it was just a mistake. I'm still happy to own this, but one day I would like to have a kind of a cleaner copy. This is the Italian version of You're My Best Friend. I really like this. This has kind of like a thicker card than most sleeves from the time. So it's not paper, it's more like card. And that's what it looks like on the back. Obviously, I've got the UK version of You're My Best Friend, just standard. And then moving on to Tie Your Mother Down. This is again the UK version in the standard EMI sleeve. And then I have a Dutch version. And then this is what it looks like on the back, advertising a day at the races. I've got Tie Your Mother Down, Japanese version. I really like this sleeve, I think it's really cool. Blue label kind of sleeve. Got the German version. Again, I just think all of these early 70s covers from Europe are just really interesting. And then you've got Queen's first EP. On this is Good Old Fashioned Lover Boy, and then a few different songs from various albums, actually. So it's quite interesting to have released an EP with songs that they released years ago. This is the UK version of Somebody to Love. So one of the first, actually, UK sleeves that Queen did. I think it's very, very cool artwork. I'm quite happy with this copy. It's pretty clean for the time. That's what the back looks like. Then I have the Japanese version of Somebody to Love with the blue sleeve. Then I've got Teo Toriate, which was just released in Japan. So that's the Japanese version. And then we move on to We Are the Champions. So this is the Japanese version Caterpillar label. And now I need to bring in the next set of records. So this is the UK version of We Will Rock You and We Are the Champions. What I found really interesting about this, I probably won't be able to get it on cover, but it says 6th of October 77, free from Queen in London in concert. I did some research into that, and I think it's when they released the video, so they must have, or where they recorded the video, so they must have given away free copies. I have no idea if that is genuine or not. I think it's very cool. Probably doesn't actually have any value because that can never be validated, but I'm not selling these anyway. What I've then got is the US version. All of these are pretty much the same, like using Frank's head. I think he's called Frank. That's the back. Got some writing on it, sadly. And then there's the French version, which has the writing on it, which is different to the UK version. Moving on to Spread Your Wings, UK single. Don't know whether they released that in different like sleeves in other countries. Towards the later periods, the sleeves started to get kind of less unique. Then there's It's Late. This is the US version. I'm really happy with this copy. You can come across some quite like tatty ones, so yeah, that one's pretty good. And then there's the Hungarian version of Bicycle Race and Fat Bottom Girls. Really interesting sleeve. It's like, well, like a racetrack on this woman, you know. Just classic 70s vibes, I suppose. This is the Italian version of Bicycle Race. I hope this is allowed on YouTube. This is the UK version. It's just slightly more magenta than the Italian version. And then moving on to Don't Stop Me Now. This is the Japanese copy of Don't Stop Me Now. This is the UK version. That's what it looks like on the back. So I've been very inconsistent with what I'm showing for each single. So this is Mustafa. I have two copies of this. This is the one from where is it from Hungary, I think. So yeah, it's on the Jugoton label. And then this is the German version. I think this is a pretty cool sleeve. I quite like this at the back here. I'm just going to adjust myself because I'm a little bit uncomfortable. But you can see there that is, I believe, actually a US copy of Jealousy. So this was kind of like just my obsession with having the whole collection. So I bought this, I think, on Discogs from America. So got it imported in. Then we've got Love of My Life. This is the UK version. Didn't have a cover as such, just a blank black sleeve. But the German version did have a cover. So I picked up that as well. Then we got Crazy Little Thing Called Love, just the standard UK copy. I think this is when they really started to go pretty generic across Europe. Next up is the Japanese version, keeps the picture, just looks slightly different. And then we've got Need Your Loving Tonight, which I think was only released in Japan. This is actually my latest pickup. I think I got this one on eBay. The Japanese version of Save Me. I quite like this one. It's one of my favourite ones from the 80s. And then I've got the UK copy, pretty clean. Some of these UK later ones you can pick up for quite cheap, I think. Play the Game US version. The interesting thing about the US copies is they have this kind of like circle as opposed to like a full square sleeve. So then you've got the UK version, just standard. This is Another One Bites the Dust from Japan. There's a copy of this design, I think in a different country, that I really want. I can't quite remember off the top of my head now. We've got the UK version of Another One Bites the Dust. And then we move on to Flash. So I've got a few Flash copies. This is the French version. It says it was reserved for a jukebox at the time, which I think is pretty cool. Then you've got the US version. The Japanese version. And then finally, this one's quite interesting. This is the Irish version, and it's in a green sleeve and has a green label, which I think is really interesting. So that's those ones. Move on to the next ones, and then obviously I've got UK version of Flash, just the same. This is a copy of Need Your Loving Tonight. Oh, so actually they did release two versions. I just had them separate. So this one's from the US, didn't have an actual sleeve, just a generic cover. So the Japanese one did have a sleeve. Then we got Under Pressure, the UK version. This was my dad's actually. So he gave me, I think, 2 Queen singles when I first started my collection. It was Under Pressure, and it was the Italian version of Bicycle Race actually. Then we've got the US version of Under Pressure and the Japanese copy. I really like this one. It uses the cover from Greatest Hits. This one of my most expensive that I bought. I didn't buy it for 120. I actually bought it for 90. So haggled like 25% off-ish, and this is the Staying Power Japanese copy. So the only country to release Staying Power. I really love this sleeve. I think it's like sick, honestly. And then we've got Calling All Girls, US copy. It is in a, it's quite a generic sleeve, but it is a picture sleeve. Then we've got Backchat, the UK version. And then this is the Spanish version. I actually don't know what that translates to. I should probably look into it. I can't even remember getting this one, actually. It's such a long time ago. That's what the label looks like on the back. And then I've got Body Language, that's the UK version, one of Queen's, love it or hate it songs. That's the US version, so it's like a censored sleeve. This is one of my favourite pickups. I think it took a long time to find it. Then I've got Body Language from Japan as well. Las Palabras de Amor. I'd pick up a cleaner copy of this at some point if I could. And then this one's interesting, so I'll show it a little bit more in detail. This is excerpts from the works, and it's a flexi disc, so you can kind of wobble it about, which I think is pretty cool. It's just like a little demo kind of copy. Unfortunately, mine's got quite a big nick across the record, so I haven't played it, but I have the sleeve for it. I've got Radio Gaga, and then the Japanese version of that as well. Moving on to the I Want to Break Frees, because there's loads of them. So there's the Japanese version, and then you've got the European version, which has all 4 faces. And then Queen actually released all 4 members' faces, so like a collectible type thing. So you've got Roger here, then you've got Brian, Freddie, and John. John wasn't meant to be last. Then you've got Hammer to Fall. There are 2 versions of It's a Hard Life. So there's one where Roger's face looks normal, and then there's one where Roger's face is like superimposed. So I've got both. You got Thank God It's Christmas, One Vision, the paper version of One Vision. You can tell I'm going through these ones quite quickly because generally I just think the later ones were a bit less interesting in terms of covers. So you got Friends Will Be Friends. That is until we get to the later 80s and A Kind of Magic. So then I'm bringing in my final set now. So we're getting towards the end. We have A Kind of Magic from Japan. And then the US version of A Kind of Magic, which is actually another one of my favourites. It's taken from the album and just kind of isolated the band members without all any of the like funky stuff around it. You've got this is the, I think, French version of A Kind of Magic. Yeah, from the Highlander film with I think his name is Chris Lambert. I haven't actually seen the film, fake Queen fan. Then we've got Who Wants to Live Forever. This one is Pain is So Close to Pleasure from Germany, which I love. I think it's really cool. This is the I Want It All promo press kit. It's the most expensive one I bought. I can open it up actually. I'll just quickly show what's inside. So it's the kind of press copy. It opens up, and then inside there's like a press letter. You've got the single as well, and then at the back you've just got this kind of like picture of them. Very interesting piece, like probably my favourite that I have. You've got the standard I Want It All, and then the Invisible Man, the clear version, which is very interesting. I think one of the first, if not the first, singles they did like that. You've got the standard version that's just a black record. And we've got Breakthrough. You've got Scandal. I do also have the Scandal poster, but it's up in my room, so I can't show it. Then we've got the Miracle, the first version of the Miracle. This is their standard UK release. And then you've got the holographic version. That's me. Yeah, which is quite interesting. Next up is Innuendo, so their final album release when Freddie was still alive. You've got the I'm Slightly Mad copy. I think this one's really interesting. Like, the artwork is just so cool. Yeah, it's a really clean copy as well. We've got Headlong. The Show Must Go On. So this is the final single release while Freddie was still alive. So I kind of call these final ones like the remaining. I'm less interested in collecting beyond like 1991, but I do have a few. So I've got the Bohemian Rhapsody release with These Are the Days of Our Lives. That went to #1 in Christmas '91. Then we've got, just need to work out which one this is, the jukebox version of Heaven for Everyone. There's the jukebox version of A Winter's Tale. You've got Too Much Love Will Kill You, which was released, I think, in 1996. And it has a Pink record. Then there's just a couple more. So there's Let Me Live. It's the last official kind of like Queen release with all 3 of the remaining band members. No One But You. Oh, wait, no. No One But You was the last official. And then finally there's We Are the Champions live at Wembley. So yeah, that's my Queen single collection. I obviously have a couple of other like special Queen singles. So the I'm Going Slightly Mad picture disc, for example. But it's kind of like in my 12-inch collection, so I'll show that at a different time.